Hey guys, it's Justine. Thanks for tuning into my Tool Basics series on YouTube. Let's talk about sanders. So in front of me I have two different types of sanders. One is going to be your palm sander and the other is going to be a random orbital sander. You going to zoom in on my hand? Awesome. The main difference between this one is the plate's going to kind of move like this, and that's the motion you're getting. But this one over here is going to rotate all the way around and give you a random sand. Typically this one's going to be used in the beginning stages of a project, and this one is more of a finishing sander. This one's a little bit faster, this one's a little bit slower, but all of that can kind of vary depending on the grit of the sandpaper you're using. Not a whole lot of features on these guys. It's pretty much just the sandpaper and an on-off switch. Sandpaper is going to come in a variety of different grits, meaning it's going to be a finer grit or more coarse. The way that's measured is the lower the number, the coarser the grit. So I have them marked out here so you can kind of see the difference. We have 80, which is kind of like beach sand. We got 120, kind of like a playground sand. And 220, which is pretty soft. When you're sanding, you want to start off with your coarsest grit first and work your way up to your finer grit. You want to make sure that the coarsest grit you're going with is also not going to damage your project in any way, because typically sanding happens at the end of your build, and what a crappy time to damage your project, right? Yeah. So if I was sanding this table, for instance, I might not want to go at it with an 80 grit sandpaper because it's made out of pine and you'll be able to see the sanding that's going into it. I might start off with a 120 and work my way up from there. It's going to tell you the grit of your sandpaper on the packaging, but also right on the back. I've seen some people that like to write it on the sandpaper itself. That way when you're working, you can look at it and say, oh, it's 80 grit. Sandpaper is either going to come in a sheet or in a pad like this, depending on what sander you have. If you're working with a palm sander like this one, you can go ahead and buy sheets of it like this at your local hardware store. And the way you're going to get it on the bottom of your sander is by folding it into fourths. So just like that. Then I'm going to fold it in half again. My hands are really cold and I wanted to make sure the crease was there. That was embarrassing. All right, so what you're going to do is fold your sandpaper into fourths. Let me get a different one. Okay, and so most finished sanders or palm sanders are going to have a little clip system right here. So you're just going to unlatch that and let it go and do the same thing on the other side. This might look a little different on the one you're using. Some of them have ones that open up both sides, but for mine it has a little like kind of clipboard thing right here where this pops out. Once you have your sandpaper off, you're going to see some holes on the bottom of this sanding pad. These are attached to this chamber right here, and as you're sanding, they're actually sucking up the dust and putting it in this little compartment. It's not going to get all the dust, so you still definitely want to wear a face mask, but it will help in kind of the dust control. If you ever need to empty this dust container, some of them have a little latch here, but you're just going to take this, rotate it to the left, pull it out and dump it out. Some shop vacs will also attach to your sander, so if you have one that does hook up, you can definitely do that. Okay, so what you're gonna do is attach it on one side first and then bend it back and pin it back with this one. So I'm just gonna open up my clipboard, stick it in there, and then I'm gonna wrap it back underneath this clippy. And then I'm going to secure it back in there. I'm just going to go through and poke holes so that where my holes are on my sanding pad, the dust can go through and suck into this little bag over here. A lot of sanders come with a pad that you can kind of smush on and it'll poke the holes right for you. I've also seen people make jigs if they lose theirs, like I have. And yeah, you're good to go. To change a pad on an orbital sander, it's super easy. You just peel it off. And to put it on, you're just gonna line up the holes and stick it on there. Cool. Let's sand. All right, so just gonna give you a quick demo on the sanders. And the way I'm gonna do that is by drawing a line here and a line here. All right, so I have 120 grit on both of these, and we'll just sand them off so you can see how they work a little differently. So here's the palm sander. So when you're using a palm sander, you always want to make sure that you're kind of using it in this motion. Otherwise, you're going to get some weird effects on your wood. Here's the orbital. So you can see this one went a lot faster and this one went a little bit slower. But one of the advantages of having a palm sander is that you can really get up into this corner pretty nicely. The orbital is going to give you a little bit of a weird mark here, so you just want to be careful with that. If it's an edge that's being seen on your project. If it's something that you have to go back in with a sanding block by hand, I recommend doing that just to give you the peace of mind of, you know, some nice finished work. And if you're looking to make a purchase, if it's your first power sander, I kind of recommend this one. All right guys, thanks for watching. If there's any questions you have or if you want to see more of these videos, let me know in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Catch you later.